Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome to the August 19th, 2026 East Whiteland Township Board of Supervisors. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If we can rise and read the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to just introduce everyone here at the table. On my immediate left is Steve Brown, Township Manager. I'm Scott Lambert, Chairman of the Board. On my immediate right is Bernadette Kearney, our Solicitor. On the far right is Solicitor Clinton Smith, and at the lower table is Peter Fixler. As we are having a number of topics tonight, I would like to read off something we have not read in a while pertaining to the public meeting rules. Priority is going to be given to the East Whiteland Township residents when it comes to public comments. Each speaker will be limited to roughly 3 minutes. Honorable Katie Muth, who I suspect will be here at some point in time, will have additional amount of time, and there's no time sharing. We ask that all the comments be courteous and not contain any offensive language or personal directives or attacks to any particular individuals. Yelling, chanting, and personal attacks, again, offer disruptive behavior and will not be tolerated. Because there are probably going to be a number of public speakers, we would like and ask people during that point of time to stay on topic and perhaps not repeat the same questions so that we can get to everyone who has specific questions. That would be appreciated. Okay. And yes, and we are running the meeting until a 3-hour and roughly 3-hour limit tonight. Anything that we do not get to, we will carry over to the next meeting, which is only 3 weeks away. Board briefings. There was an executive session held on August 19th pertaining to legal, personnel, and real estate issues. And a great topic we've got tonight, Chief Yeager. I'll pass the baton over to you to introduce 2 new police officers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we have 2 openings in our police department, and we had approximately 40 people apply for those 2 positions. And in doing so, it was a rigorous process, as it normally is to become a police officer nowadays. You have to do a lot of things. You have a polygraph, psychological, written test, physical agility, psychologicals. And so the 2 people here tonight came out number 1 and 2 and were subsequently hired. So we're going to bring them before you tonight, introduce them to the board, and formally acknowledge their appointments. The first officer is Officer Nick DiNocenti. Come over. So Nick came to us from a highly rated police department in Berks County. It was Lower Pottsgrove Township. He had 5 years in there, and he had 1 year in at Reading Police Department. He went to the Reading Police Academy prior to that. He grew up in Douglasville, PA, and graduated from Albright College in 2020 with a Bachelor of Arts in Criminology. He also played collegiate baseball at Albright College, attended the Reading Police Academy, so they employed. He was a traffic safety officer at Pottsgrove. He was Montgomery County Drug Task Force member and a recipient of a life-saving award after an automobile accident with fire. He's engaged to Haley Kanak. Did I pronounce that correct? And he plans to be married in October of 27. His father is here tonight, Dean Dinaseni. His mother, Maria DeTore. Stepfather, Anthony DeTore. And his younger brother, John Dinasenti. And his sister, Nadine Dinasenti, who is also younger. So, congratulations. And the second officer is Brian Galasso. So Brian went to Haverford School for 2 years, and he went to Ave Maria College for 2 years in Florida. And he went to the Pennsylvania State Police Academy in 2024 through 2025. And he worked as a Pennsylvania State Trooper since 2025. He's here tonight with his mother, his father, and his girlfriend. So both of these officers are congratulations. So both of these officers came here from highly respected police departments, so we were happy to be able to attract applicants like that, and they made it all the way to the top. So once again, congratulations to them and their families. With that, I thank the rest of the police department who showed up to honor them and welcome them into the police department. So thank everybody for being here.
Gentlemen, thank you. Looking forward to working with you from the board. Best of luck. Just so you know, we're now going to try to filter in the people that are in the vestibule. Okay, we're within capacity, so we don't have any issues there. Apologize to everyone that was in here before. I'm going to have to repeat the meeting rules for the new group of people that came in. We haven't read these in a while. I think it's appropriate to do so again tonight. The first aspect is that priority for the public comment section is going to be given to East Whiteland Township residents. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes approximately. Senator Muth, if she's here, would be given additional time. All comments must be courteous, not contain offensive language, and avoid personal attacks. Obviously, yelling, chanting, and personal attacks and other disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. We would ask people to keep their comments on topic so that everyone can ask their questions. If it cannot be repeated, we'd appreciate that. We can get more questions in by everyone. The meeting is going to be run for 3 hours, so we will run starting now, 3 hours from 10 minutes to 7. And thank you for your cooperation. We are now in the board briefing sections, number 2C. Catherine, if you can give us any updates on the grant awards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The township did receive a Green Light Go grant for $363,700. Generally, this is for to upgrade vehicle detection on Route 30, including pedestrian crossing signals. There's several other improvements associated with it. This will impact 5 intersections, both of the 202 on and off ramps, Phoenixville Pike, the Toyota dealership driveway, and Plainbrook Road. And thank you to Senator Muth and Representative Howard for their support. The township received the request that we asked for.
Okay, thank you. Being that Larry is in the park having a good time listening to Fleetwood Mac music, do you have any updates on his behalf for Park and Rec?
Yep, I'll share his updates, and there's some graphics on the screen as I walk through these things. So summer camp wrapped. It was another successful year. There were 160 kids who attended with 25 camp counselors. We also implemented for the first time this year a new counselor and training program, which had 5 of them. A huge thank you to Director Michelle Mariano Fasano, Assistant Director Isa McCollum, and the school district for hosting us and allowing us to make this program happen. For events, the final Chill on the Hill is tonight, as you already mentioned, and it's Little Eyes, which is a Fleetwood Mac tribute, and from the photos I saw already, it looks like it's a record turnout this evening, which is great, thanks to the good weather. So up on the screens, you'll see the summer movie night is next Friday, the 28th. We're going to be showing Disney Pixar's Hoppers. We will have free popcorn, ice cream from Scoops and Smiles, cotton candy, mobile petting zoo, face painting, and a presentation from the Chester County Parks and Preservation Park Rangers. The event begins at 6:30, but just a reminder, we can't show the movie until it's dark, so the movie will begin around 8 p.m. Also up here is Community Day is coming up on Sunday, September 20th. This will be from 1 to 4 p.m. Held at the same location we've had it for the last few years, 55 Valley Stream Parkway. There'll be a free meal program for East Whiteland residents, games, music, activities, rides, beer and wine tent, Eagles tailgate, because there is a game that day, live streamed of the game, and an adoption event with Lucky Dog Animal Rescue, and more. And finally, we have some fall programming. We are partnering with Skyhawk Sports, soccer, which will include soccer for ages 2 to 10-year-olds, volleyball for ages 7 to 14, tennis for ages 5 to 11, and a multi-sport TOTS program for ages 2 to 4. Registration is live now. You can check the township website for that. And also, the most important update is the Backton Hill Park water fountain is going to be installed very soon for people to use. So thank you for that, allowing me that long update.
Thank you. Next on the agenda would be discussion pertaining to updates on the Malvern Library, but I don't see Bill Holmes.
So,
Kent,
We had one other,
Kent,
you're in the,
we had another.
okay, I'll get to it. Yeah, I did skip one. All right, Catherine, why don't you do that, then Ken?
It'll be quick, I promise, quicker than the
He's
Park and Rec
almost
update. This is just an announcement that we are rolling out online real estate tax payments via Municipay. This is something that has been long asked for by residents, and so we're happy to be able to roll this out. There is a convenience fee that's associated with this if folks want to use it. E-checks or ACH are $1.50. Debit or credit cards are 2.65% with a $3 minimum. PayPal, Venmo is 3% with a $3 minimum. And just so that there isn't any confusion, while the Municipay platform is hosted through the Township, all questions regarding tax payments and amounts should still be directed to the tax collector.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ken? Update on the Malvern Library.
down.
That one? Okay, how's that? Okay, just a brief update on the Malvern Library. I think a lot of people know.
Frank, could you pull that shade down? I appreciate it.
I think everybody knows what a library is, but just in case, briefly, there's books, there's e-books, there's periodicals, there's online newspapers, and one of the big things is there's assistance and there's various programs at the Malvern Library. I think on the next page, okay. The patrons, which is essentially the library card holders from East Whiteland Township, there's 5,354 card holders from the library. That's 31% of the overall card holders from that library. The Malvern Library serves the four municipalities of Willistown, Malvern Borough, East Goshen, and East Whiteland. From a fundraising perspective, we get $52,000 from East Whiteland. We don't have all the numbers there, but I think actually small number in the middle there. Revenue is about $438,000, and that basically just covers our expenses. So there's not a lot of money left over there. It's if you're looking at a profit and loss statement, whatever we bring in, it gets spent. Next, okay. There's the 5,354 East Whiteland card holders. There's the 52,000. That essentially that comes out to be $9.71 per card holder out of East Whiteland as far as a contribution. East Whiteland checked out 87,000 library materials in 2025, and at those items at $20 average cost, East Whiteland saved $1,751,000. So when you consider the $52,000 contributed and a savings of $1,007,000, it's a pretty good investment. By the numbers, these numbers here are actually the overall number of patrons for all four townships or municipalities. It's gone up from 48,000 to 52 to 60 to 63. It's a 26% increase over the years. The circulation has gone up from 89,000 on up to 100,000 over those last 4 years. 11% increase there. The summer reading participants, this has mostly been focused towards kids and teenagers, but over the last couple of years we're starting to get more and more adults in summer reading programs. And just kind of using the top two lines, we've gone from 123, in 2023, you had 127 kids, and now we're out to 344 kids involved in that program. Your teens have gone up from 21 to 33, so obviously that's we're just glad to see people involved in the library. As we said, if you're back a couple of pages, don't go. But as far as fundraising, we get money from the townships, we get money from the county, we get money from the state. But then we also have a lot of it is revenue fundraising types of things. So some of those things are the book sale. People contribute books that we were then able to sell for a lesser price. Some of the programs that we've got that I didn't mention early on is we've got Read to a Dog. So that's mostly a kids program, but still. You got one-on-one tech help a couple days a week, for the most part for older adults. There's 2 book clubs. There's also Master Gardener from Penn State that shows up and helps people or answers questions as far as how to grow things, what are problems with your plants and things like that. On the September 30th, there's a Pints with a Purpose. If anybody feels like going over to Locust Lane and drinking a beer or 2 or 3, or making a contribution, we'd greatly appreciate that. All the tips and 50% of the proceeds from drink bundles go to support the library. So again, September 30th from 5 to 8. We are looking for sponsors, restaurants, businesses, law firms, anybody. We've also got a bingo event coming up that was actually really well attended a couple months ago. It's coming up on Sunday, November 15th, and it's at the Malvern Retreat House. It's a very neat place to just see the Malvern Retreat House if you haven't been there before. And that's from, I guess, yep. Okay, that's it. And if you guys feel like upping your contribution to the library, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Budget season is coming up.
Any comments by the public for that? Okay. Kent, thank you. Moving on. Tonight, as you're probably well aware, there is no agenda item or action related to the data center application. However, we recognize that many residents continue to have questions regarding the 2024 land development approval process. Public comment on that topic will be permitted during the general public comments in accordance, again, with the township rules that I had read previously. Because many of the same legal and procedural questions continue to arise, township staff and the solicitor or the board may provide clarification to recurring questions for the benefit of the public and for the record. This is not a rehearing, debate, or deliberation on the application. Comments should be directed to the board, and we ask all participants to remain respectful so everyone has the opportunity to be heard. Nikki, there will be an additional 5 minutes of time that you will be allowed to ask public questions, just so you know. Okay? Moving on to section 3, board motions and resolutions. Catherine?
Thank you. Yeah, the request is to exonerate township taxes for a school district-owned property at 41 Moores Road. So this is actually a follow-up from a previous request at the June meeting where 2 other properties related to this school district purchase were approved for tax exoneration. The district also sought and received tax exemption status from the county for future fiscal years, but the Board of Supervisors would need to decide if the current year's tax amount should be paid or exonerated. The amount owed is $29.07.
Okay. Clinton, would you like to make a motion?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve Great Valley School District request to exonerate district-owned property at 41 Moores Road from the 2026 Township tax parcel 4203 0333 0000.
All in favor? Aye. And passes 3-0. And we've got the County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Catherine, are you?
Brian was in the room. No, Greg is here. I think Greg will step
Yeah,
in.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've seen him step outside there with a resident. Basically, what this is the county, every couple years, updates their hazard mitigation plan. So they ask every municipality to adopt a resolution that recognizes the county's hazard mitigation plan to work in conjunction with our own emergency operations plan that we have within the township. So what's before the board tonight is to propose the resolution to adopt the 2026 Chester County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Okay. Any questions pertaining to this? We've kind of reviewed it. Standard. Would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 22-2026 County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Moving on to 3C. Chris, if you can give us an overview on the rifle purchases?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So most of our rifles are roughly 2 decades old. The technology for them has come a long way. Makes us much more efficient and accurate with them. So the Lieutenant Kopaz made a deal, put out a quote to replace 16 of them. So we were going to trade in 16 and get 16 new ones, so we won't be getting any more and we won't be losing any. Total price is $17,900, and that would include trading in some suppressors for $500. The amount is rough amount, $17,900. There are some ancillary items that are going to have to go on some of the guns, lights and things like that. But for now, we're looking to just get the guns today. And we did 3 quotes, and this wasn't the lowest quote, but it was the only quote that it was the lowest quote where we were allowed to trade in our old ones. So we did it, and to get 16 guns and walk out with an $18,000 bill is, I thought, great. So it's nice to have. I appreciate if you approve that.
What's the longevity of this new round?
Excuse me?
What's the longevity of these guns?
I mean, it depends. Like I said, the last ones were 20 years. So what happens is some of the mounts in the cars and all that change. So a lot of stuff changes. So it comes down to that and how many. We're shooting a lot more now, so they'll probably won't last as long as the other ones. Just guessing. The practice and the training for them is probably 5-fold.
Yeah, when you say shooting a lot more, I hope you mean at the range.
I quickly added the training for those.
Yeah, I'm going to reiterate that though.
But it is, the county has an actual shoot house and everything where everyone goes down and you're actually, doing like live shooting as well as qualifications and all that. And I think Mr. Fixler saw how good they were at the Great Valley active shooter exercise this year in May. So he participated in that, and I appreciate that too.
Okay. Any questions from the public?
Just, Chief, just a quick question real quick. Regarding, you said there would just be additional lights and optics and things of that nature added down the road, right?
Yeah, so we're going to try to use some of the lights and things like that, but, and some of the mounts, so we'll have to see how many mounts we're gonna be able to utilize. Like these cars, you know, you get cars roughly every 3 to 5 years, probably 4 to 5 years, but they change the interiors, so then you have to change mounts, so it's just a constant. If Rich were here, he would probably agree with me reluctantly that they make money when they change every few years. So unfortunately, we have to keep up with that to try to keep our cars consistent so that when you go to grab a gun, it's the same place, roughly the same place. So sometimes it involves changing some of the mounting hardware, or where's the flashlight, or the length of the guns, which is most of the issue with these guns, is the difference in length.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Clinton, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to approve the rifle purchase, approximately $17,900 for East Whiteland Police Department.
All in favor? Aye. Again, the motion passes 3-0. Moving on to motion to award and motion to advertise. Steve, if you going to lead us on the liquor license transfer or not? Or
Well,
Bernadette?
yeah, I'm going to quickly pass that to Bernadette.
Yes, this is an intermunicipal transfer of a liquor license to the Wawa at 5 Matthews Road. I am going to ask that, in addition to the hearing being held on September 9th, that the board authorize the township to hire an attorney to oppose the transfer if we cannot reach an agreement with reasonable conditions with the Wawa's attorney. She is on vacation this week, so we weren't able to speak. I did convey to the attorney your concerns, Chief, one of them being the time frame. So we just wanted to have that ability. I expect that she will agree to the conditions as to the timing, but because she's on vacation, I just ask that you add that to the motion.
To let everyone know, most of the liquor stores in the area are ceasing to sell liquor either 10 or 11 o'clock. And we're just asking Wawa to adhere to those timeframes. So that's what we're trying to get clarified and an agreement from them. So any questions from the public pertaining to that? Okay.
I just wanted to make sure everyone knows that the state law says they can stay open until 2 a.m. So what we're doing is, you know, we're looking out for the public and so forth in trying to keep it down to like a 10 or 11 o'clock. So if Wawa does do it, it would obviously be appreciated, and they've done it in other places, so we kind of expect it to happen here too. Thank you.
Want me to read it?
Do you want me to read it?
I'll read it. You can. So I would like to make a motion to authorize the advertisement for the liquor license transfer to Wawa at 5 Matthews Road to be held on September 9th, 2026, and also to authorize the township to hire an outside attorney to oppose if reasonable conditions are not agreed upon between Wawa and the township.
Correct.
How about that? Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And the motion passes 3-0. John?
Good evening. I have the next 3 items here. First one is approval to advertise a previous Green Light Go project that we received the grant funds for. This is at Route 30 and Route 401 for traffic signal upgrades. This is the controller, mast arm, pedestrian improvements, and detection improvements.
Pretty simple.
Very simple.
Quinn?
Thank you, Chairman. Want to, yeah, a motion to approve the excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong one here. A motion to approve the advertised Route 30/Route 401 Green Light Go traffic signal project on Penn bid, opening bids on September 18, 2026.
Sure.
Are these block cameras going to be authorized as part of this?
Well, our chief just left, so, he just stepped out. I know there are flock cameras in different locations, but I don't know if that specific one is there. When he comes back in, is it okay? We'll ask him? Okay? All right. Yeah, if you want, why don't we jump to,
Well, I can say we're not adding them. If it's there, it stays. We're not adding anything.
We authorize the block cameras. We're not, okay.
okay.
Sorry, just to,
B, you were reading B.
asking for confirmation, or not confirmation.
Yeah,
Well,
we already
yeah, I
read it.
Right.
so-
He seconded.
Can we have a
Yeah.
second?
All right.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
4B passes 3-0. And obviously diesel heating.
Right. Next one, yearly. We do this every year. Approval to advertise for the 2027 diesel and heating oil bid.
Expect it to go up quite a bit.
Yeah, it will.
Okay. Clint, you want to do 4C? I know.
I'm sorry.
4C.
The 4C. No, I'm sorry. What's the?
I'm sorry. Motion to
Motion, thank you. Yeah, just lost my train of thought. I just want to request motion to authorize and approve to advertise for the 2027 diesel and heating oil bid.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And also passes 3-0.
Okay, and my last one is approval to advertise a 2006 Freightliner sweeper truck on municipal bid for sale. We got the replacement last month, so it's time for this one to go.
Hate to see it go.
Yeah, and you can bid on it if you want to have it for your neighborhood. So,
I mean, isn't that like an antique?
right.
Huh? Anyway,
All right. Motion to approve to advertise the 2006, Freightliner sweeper truck on municipal bid.
all in favor?
Aye.
And passes 3-0.
Right, thank you.
Thank you, John. Zach, if you could give us the overview on number E, letter E.
Sure. Excuse me. These next two are motions to authorize advertisement for hearings on ordinances. So the first one is sort of a rescheduling of a hearing. We had previously scheduled a hearing for a subdivision land development ordinance amendment to require environmental remediation prior to approval. That was to be held on September 9th. At the last EAC meeting, there was a request made to refer that ordinance to the EAC to review prior to adoption. So it will go to not only the Planning Commission, but the EAC en route to the board. That hearing then will be rescheduled from September 9th to October 14th at the regularly scheduled meeting. So I just wanted to provide that update since there have been questions on that at prior meetings.
If you'd like to come up to Mike, Barbara.
Hi, good evening, Barbara Arnold, 31 Comstock Road. First of all, thank you guys for working on this. I'm sorry, I thought it was on. Barbara Arnold, 31 Fonstock Road. So thank you very much for working on this ordinance and getting it through. This is probably an issue to bring up at the EAC, but I just did want to mention the wording here, and again, this is probably not the official wording, but it says it's requiring environmental remediation prior to approval, and the Euclid ordinance seems to imply that it requires remediation before a development proposal can be submitted. So, you know, the concern may be being that a conditional approval might be possible before the remediation is achieved. So, so I just wanted to point that out here, but, you know, we will come to that meeting and just, you know, make sure that that language is really clear. But I just wanted to mention it to you guys.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
And Barbara, thank you for bringing this whole ordinance over to us. It's a great piece of land development addition to the township.
For those of you who aren't that familiar with Bishop Tube, this would be something that hopefully would prevent something like that from happening in the future, a contaminated site being built upon. Thank you.
Okay, we have a question? Online. Greg, would you be able to turn that one off?
Hi, can you hear me?
Annika, you're up.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Thank you. Hi, Annika Van Rossum with the Delaware River Keeper Network. So, just wanted, of course, say thank you that this is moving forward. And, it's really great and excited to see what the final language will be. But just to echo what Barbara said, because it does seem like it's the title of prior to approval, it really should be prior to consideration, or making that point clear as you're having these conversations, because other pieces of the application could move forward and be approved, but really all of it would be meaningless if a site is not fully remediated and clear of contamination and safe for human health, environmental health, all those components, regardless of what the site would become. So just really want to echo that that it should be consideration, not approval, and that an applicant could certainly be welcome to put it in a proposal, but they should understand that the remediation must come first, and that is the first approval that will need to be done by all the municipal parties involved. So again, thank you for bringing this forward, but really just wanted to echo that point, and glad that after all this time this is coming forward to you all.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. Next item similarly is just a motion to authorize the advertising for an ordinance. This is the ordinance related to the curative amendment regarding data centers, and this is to authorize advertisement of a hearing to be held at a special meeting of the Board of Supervisors on September 24th at 6 p.m. So not the normal regularly scheduled board meeting evening, and beginning at 6 p.m. And actually, I think we might need to go back to actually making a motion. Sorry about that.
Step back one. We got sidetracked. So if we can make the motion, because we didn't vote on E on the
Yep. So I'll just read this.
environmental remediation ordinance.
Yep.
Do you want?
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Just make the motion to authorize advertisement of hearing for amendment of subdivision and land development ordinance to require environmental remediation prior to approval, to be held on October 14th, 2026. It was previously scheduled for September 9th, 2026, rescheduled to allow for review of Environmental Advisory Council.
All in favor?
Aye.
And 4E motion passes 3-0. All right, now we can move on to
Thanks and sorry.
F.
Sure. So I'll restart. This is a motion to authorize advertising for the ordinance related to the curative amendment for data centers. This would be a hearing to be held at a special meeting of the Board of Supervisors on September 24th. I believe that's a Thursday at 6 p.m. So a different night, a different time. Wanted to make sure we had enough time to get through that and not have to have it at a normal meeting in case there's public comment, questions, things like that.
So regarding, I just want to mention, just an overview, in case people are not familiar with the curative amendment, is that this ordinance was a community-assisted working group that had numerous number of meetings and completed a comprehensive data center regulation zoning ordinance amendment for future applications. Right now, the ordinance is in the final review phase with the Chester County Planning Commission and the Township Planning Commission. And the deadline to adopt this text is no later than September 28th, which the Township will meet again with our scheduled meeting on the 24th. So again, this would be applicable to any data center applications going forward. And I will say that it is a very comprehensive piece of legislation that was put together by a lot of really smart, intelligent people, and half of them are in the room here. So thank you for all of that. So just a little bit of a background on that. Would you like to make a motion?
Absolutely. I'd like to make a motion for ordinance number 385, data center regulations, the curative amendment to authorize advertisement for a public hearing on September 24th at 6 p.m.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we pass 3-0. Anything? Yes, it will. And it will be it'll be posted on the website. But yes, I think we scheduled it for 6 p.m. on the 24th. 6 p.m. on the 24th.
When does the deadline end on 6 months?
I think the 28th. The 28th.
I don't know if you need to gauge public participation to make sure you don't have to reschedule it, but given the short distance, I don't know if you want to consider that. But not reschedule it, sorry, and find a different location. I don't know if there's any way you can gauge how many people might be here. A meeting like this tonight, where data centers aren't even technically on the agenda, we've got standing room only, which is great.
Yeah, we can look at some options for gauging interest. That's a good point. And we can also check availability of some of the locations that we've used in the past. So just to at least have that option. We'll do what we can to explore that and get a better, like, kind of shore up that number.
Jenny, a good question. I would say that if there are people that are interested in coming to that meeting and want to participate, we will have a link on our website of the draft that we'll be voting on. That would be worth reviewing in case you wanted to put yourself to sleep if you couldn't fall asleep. There's probably, Tony, how many pages are there? 40? 40? Really exciting.
Oh, super fun read. It's a super fun read.
Yeah, really rich going. So,
It's good, it's good.
but it would be good if there was a review to have a little understanding of what we're doing in case there are any questions that you might have. Okay, so we'll kind of revisit at this point in time, but we'll keep it at the 24th at the moment.
Carl, I think Carl's got a question, Scott.
Carl, yeah, I'm sorry, could you maybe speak into the mic?
My name is Carl Abramson, East Whiteland, and
Also a participant in our curative amendment
oh yes,
ad hoc
that's
committee.
right. Yes, thank you. We got three guys here. So I just have a comment that's related to what you were just talking about, and I'd like to propose that you think about the possibility of publishing or advertising our current version of the ordinance right away. That means doing work to get that done. And my understanding, and why I'm asking you to think about this, is the reason for that is that once we do that, that ordinance then becomes the controlling ordinance, even if it is not yet adopted by the township. But it does mean it is in effect by the virtue of of advertising it. And you have to, my understanding, and Bernadette can, provide counsel to you after about the veracity of what I'm saying and your advice you might have, that once you do that, you can adopt it as is when the time comes. But if you table your decision on just keep it tabled, it means that you don't have to do anything at all, and you have this ordinance that can work for you, so that anyone else that comes along and makes an application, as soon as the period is over, you're still protected here. And once you adopt it, then you have the force of law to enforce it, but you cannot enforce it until you actually adopt it. So what I'm asking you to do is consider that as a possibility and the details associated with it. And that means that what you just approved, which is to post the meeting and establish that meeting and authorize that, you don't have to tell anyone that you're publishing this right away. You can just do it. You don't need any permission other than to do it, even if it's not finished with review with the county. It does not control that. So that's a backup strategy. If anything goes wrong, if you cannot get it done in time of the 180 days, it's still in place. And you can still adopt it after that as an amendment to the ordinance. You don't have to go through the entire hearing process and everything, the 180 days again. And if you miss the 180 days and you don't get it done, you can't do this kind of thing we just did for 3 years. So this is something you should consider.
So if I'm following, we advertised the draft, the new, okay.
Right.
And if anything goes wrong or any changes going forward, as we know, it would be just an amendment to that.
That's right. If you don't adopt it.
But
right.
even though we have to authorize it, we're going to have to vote on it. And
you don't have to vote on it until you adopt it.
Just because we advertise it doesn't mean it's live.
It does. That's
Yeah.
the point.
No, we have to enact it by the 28th, which is September 28th.
Well, when you do that 180-day period, my understanding is that means you have to adopt it within that 180 days.
Right,
adoption, but not make it effective. You can make it effective before it's adopted according to this. So please look at that. Yeah.
You can't make an ordinance effective before you adopt it.
Bernard, I think he's
Please
referring to pending ordinance doctrine.
Oh, the pending ordinance doctrine? Oh, it wouldn't really apply in this instance because they're going through subdivision and land development.
Pardon me?
A data center would go through subdivision and land development. So the pending ordinance doctrine doesn't apply to subdivision and land development. If that's what you're getting at, I'm not sure.
I cannot speak to that detail. I can only tell you what I've learned, and you can say what you've learned. I read the MPC today. I also used AI to learn that and checked MPC. So check it yourself, and I'm not here to say that you're wrong or you're right. That's not the point. I just want to raise the issue. Let's figure that out, because if we can do it, it's a safety. It's a backup plan. That's all.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think we'll look at that and see if that's something that adds some extra layer of protection. Obviously, Bernadette will follow your lead on that. What I will say too, just to clarify, the deadline to adopt the ordinance is September 27th, not 28th. And we will, so the ordinance is finalized. It has been sent to the county. So as it is right now is the ordinance that will be before the board for the hearing itself. When we post the final details about the hearing, location, et cetera, format. We'll make sure there's a link to the current document. It is on our website. There's a lot of stuff on our website currently, as
The
many
current
of you
one
know.
means the last one that was
The one that was finalized based on sort of like the last working group meeting, everything that we were able to incorporate that had been reviewed and vetted among that group is incorporated. Not every detail of every comment sort of in the lead up to that meeting and shortly thereafter, just to be clear. We incorporated everything we could, formatted it, which was very fun, as I'm sure you guys can imagine, those who worked on it. It is with the county, so it is in like, what I'll say is its final form, to the extent that there are things that need to be modified, added, amended in the future. As we've discussed, that is still very much the intent of the township, to continue exploring what could, should, and maybe should not in some cases be included in an ordinance. So just be clear, that's still the intent, but what is out there on the website now is the ordinance that will be before the board to
Yeah, so I
act on.
I want to make another comment. I don't want to lose this. It turns out, my understanding is when you adopt it and you have to advertise it, somebody made a quip about the advertising of it, and that was Tony said it was 40 pages. But the law says you have to advertise it in a newspaper. You don't have a choice. It's going to be in a newspaper. Or you can provide a summary of the ordinance. But the summary has to detail what a potential applicant can expect. It has to be not the ordinance, but something that actually fairly represents it. That means there's work to be done. And that means that the township is going to have to create that summary prior to the 180 days so that it can be adopted, because you're going to have to publish it. So in the suggestion that I made to you, you're going to have to do that work anyway. And what I'm suggesting to you is if my facts are right, or even if they're wrong, get it done. Get to work on doing that, and you can decide, do you want to publish it right away, and because I was correct, or just hang on to it for the next couple of weeks or a month, and it's ready to go when you need it. That's it. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Carl.
Okay.
You have to advertise it. Yeah, just to be clear, we do have to advertise it twice, once each week for 2 consecutive weeks, certain time period prior to the hearing. So we will be advertising. We do the legal notices, send it to the newspaper, and send it to the law library. Yeah. We do that for any ordinance, yeah. So, yeah, the advertisement that goes to the newspaper lists the title and the summary. You have to do that for any zoning or subdivision or land development ordinance. We normally I write it, and then Zach reviews it. I couldn't hear the last thing you said.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, the summary is generally pretty general. It's not super high detail.
People in the audience, we got to get you up here.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, wait, we're not connected. I can't hear you. No, we've got to get a microphone to you. I'm sorry.
Here we go. I think we're good. Okay, so the question is, do township ordinances have financial teeth once adopted? Yes, so there's information in this ordinance regarding enforcement and fines and things. So not to go into too deep a detail, but yes. The simple answer is yes. But they are limited by state statutes. It's not like a create your own fee kind of thing. We are limited by the enabling legislation that establishes the framework for all these sorts of ordinances.
Okay. Tony?
Hi, Tony from East Whiteland. So we had worked on this ordinance for weeks and weeks over the summer. I think it turned out great. One of the things that was coming up towards the end was kind of the thought of approaching townships around us and kind of using it as like a unifying shield moving forward. Because like if we are the only township with this ordinance, it could still be that Willistown or East Goshen or West Whiteland, God forbid, Jenny, adopt something in the future that we have a data center kind of on a border right next to us. I think we've done a good job working with Chrissy Julian in the past and kind of getting our ordinances out there and getting attention. I think this one could be really good to work with the communities around us and not just stop it here, but be a kind of a light for folks in the future.
It's actually a good idea because I don't know if people realize it, but Charlestown has zoned a portion of land right on the East Whiteland Charlestown border and designated as their data center zone. So it's contingent on each other. So that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, so I guess is there any community involvement that we can help get that advertised or get it into the inboxes of people who can get that spread around, or is that something the board can do or the township can do? Is there a way to kind of have like a Avengers moment where all the board of supervisors kind of meet and you have this ordinance that could really be something where Thanos can't get in? That'd be acceptable. Sorry, Marvel references.
Some of us got the references. Yeah, why don't we talk amongst ourselves in the working group? If you have ideas, feel free to send them through staff. We can consider it, and I think we'll likely reconvene that group in the near future anyway. But I think that's something we should discuss. Make it available on the website and other avenues.
One other thing I'd share too is that this was a recent topic at a Township Managers Consortium meeting, and we did share our text then and encouraged our other municipal neighbors to take a look at it too. And that's often a really good way to get that in the hands of our neighboring municipalities. So that was shared, and that was a conversation. We actually did have some of our fellow township managers reach out to us afterwards. Just tells me they're interested in what we're doing.
Yeah, because I know when we were putting it together, we used samples from Food and Water, and we used samples from others, and they're really paltry. I mean, some of the ones that we were pulling out, obviously Chad's Ford was pretty in-depth, and we used that as like kind of a starting point, as a foundation. But like the Charleston one's like one line, like put it here, and East Goshen, others aren't much better. Yeah. So yeah, just to get that information out, I think could be really helpful and kind of bring some good attention to us too. So thanks so much.
Oh, the face. Okay, Ginny Marcel, Kerrs Lake, West Whiteland. I just want to follow up on that West Whiteland, and rest assured, West Whiteland is not going to dump one on your boundary. We have, Libby, we passed it now? Not yet. It's going to be, we're having our hearings soon. Libby Mataraz, one of our West Whiteland Township Supervisors, is here. We have a very robust, not surprisingly, data center ordinance coming through too, and it's restricted to our industrial district, which is far from East Whiteland. So we're being some good neighbors over here in West Whiteland.
Okay, thank you for that input.
Yeah, I wanted to add something. Because we are picking a date that is not our normal public meeting date, and normally what happens is you have the hearing, you close the hearing, you go to the meeting, and you adopt the ordinance. I'd like to amend the agenda to also indicate that we will have a public meeting on September 24th, 2026. We have to amend the agenda. I need a motion to amend the agenda, and then a motion to authorize the public meeting to be advertised for September 24th as well, because that is not our normal meeting date. So I'm going to turn to Clinton. May I have a motion to amend the agenda to add a motion to authorize a public meeting on September 24th, 2026 at 6 p.m.
Yes, you have the motion to do that.
And then I'll need everybody to agree to that.
Do I have a second from, as read by our solicitor?
I second that.
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And then
passes 3-0.
That's the motion to amend the agenda, and Donna will post that on the website. We're used to that. The next thing would be the actual motion to authorize to have a public meeting on September 24th, 2026. And we'll advertise it for 6 p.m., but it will probably go a little later than that.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to authorize to have the meeting for the curative amendment on September 24th at 6 p.m.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It passes 3-0. Zach, you got those dates, all times, and all that? Okay. You ready?
Yes.
At this time, I'm going to turn over the agenda to Zach, and I think Bernadette will be participating on the conditional use hearing for the application at Chester Valley Country Club.
So if you recall, we had the hearing for the conditional use for the Chester Valley Golf Club last month. We do have a series of conditions, and I see Mr. Brosman is here. If Mr. Brosman could come up to the microphone. I'm going to read the proposed conditions that I believe we're all in agreement with, but I just wanted on the record that the applicant agrees to those conditions.
Yeah, and I have a couple copies if the board would like to read along. If there's anyone from the public, anyone who was granted party status, I should clarify, would like a copy, I have a few here.
The first one would be the applicant must substantially comply with the testimony and exhibits of the applicant at the hearing before the Board of Supervisors. A copy of the hearing transcript is incorporated herein by reference. The applicant, number two, the applicant shall comply with all applicable provisions of the statutes, laws, regulations, rules, codes, and ordinances of the United States, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, East Whiteland Township, and any other municipal entity having jurisdiction over this matter, including an erosion control permit. Number three is the primary location for pickleball shall be on the proposed pickleball courts with the existing pickleball courts striped on the tennis courts to be used for overflow play or when the proposed pickleball courts are unavailable for use. 4, the applicant shall limit the hours of use of the existing tennis and paddleball courts and the proposed pickleball courts to no later than 10 p.m., and the existing and proposed lighting of the court shall be on automatic timers to extinguish the lighting at 10 p.m. 5, the applicant shall examine the existing lights in the existing tennis court area to identify lights that may have spillage onto the current property at 51 Church Road, and in such cases, add shielding or implement other reasonable measures to mitigate light spillage. 6, the proposed light poles/fixtures shall not exceed 22 feet in height and shall have full cutoff fixtures. 7, if the township notifies applicant that it has received noise complaints attributable to the use of the proposed pickleball courts after they are constructed, the applicant shall work with the township staff and/or the township sound consultant to address such noise complaints. In such case, if the applicant is not otherwise able to resolve the issue, the applicant may be required to implement sound mitigation measures that may require reasonable improvements/alterations to the project and reasonable expenditures of funds. The applicant shall reimburse the township for the reasonable cost of the township sound consultant. I think I'm up to 8. The applicant, in consultation and cooperation with the township and subject to PennDOT approval, if applicable, shall explore the feasibility of striping or some other measures to better facilitate safe pedestrian movement of patrons between the lawn area on the north side of Sweetsford Road that is sometimes used for overflow parking and the proposed improvements on the south side of Sweetsford Road. 9, the applicant shall comply with the comments of the Gilmore and Associates, Inc. review letter dated July 7th, 2026, that are or remain applicable to the project to the reasonable satisfaction of the township engineer and/or the township director of planning and development. 10, the applicant shall cooperate with the township to consider Ms. Dunbar's comments regarding existing lighting at the existing court shining into her home at 8 Addison Lane, and if applicable, mitigate the lighting from such courts into Ms. Dunbar's home, if reasonably possible. Full cutoff fixtures shall be installed when the existing court lighting is replaced or upgraded. Just want to point out before George comments that if these are acceptable to the applicant, Mr. Brosman did reach out to Mr. Curran, and conditions 3 and 5 that I read are conditions suggested by Mr. Curran, who was one of the parties present at the hearing last month.
That's right, and I know, I don't want to speak for him, I saw that he's here, that he was also interested in number 5, which we had already had about the timers on the existing court lights and the proposed pickleball court lights. And we thank him for working with us to allow us to address his concerns.
I'm sorry.
I'm George Brosman, that's Brosman. I'm the attorney for the Chester Valley Golf Club.
And are the conditions, if the conditional use is approved by the Board of Supervisors, acceptable to the applicant?
Yes, they are.
Okay. So if the board at this time is ready to vote on the application, if the board is in favor of the applications, I suggest that those conditions that were read and agreed to by the applicant be part of the conditional use order. Do you want me to make the suggested motion?
I was going to just ask for public.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Are there any public comments pertaining to this at this point in time? Seeing none.
The suggested motion would be to approve the application of the Chester Valley Golf Club pursuant to code section 200-19, permitted uses for residential districts, and 200-10F, recreational and sports lighting, to allow for 2 lighted pickleball courts accessory to the golf course/club use on UPI number 42-3-199, subject to the conditions agreed to and as read at this meeting tonight and agreed to by the applicant.
Okay. I second that motion.
No, you have to make it. Mine's a suggested.
You got around that one.
I can't make a motion.
Okay, then I will make a motion to render the decision pertaining to CU 04-2026 for conditional use application at the Chester Valley Golf Club for the outdoor pickleball courts in the conditions as read by Bernadette Kearney, our solicitor.
I'll second that.
Yep. Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Dissenting?
Okay.
Okay.
With that, Mr. Brosman, I will send the decision out to you tomorrow.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Ready?
Sure. Yeah, this next item is an extension of time for the board to render a decision. This is for the Bishop 2 redevelopment. So this was discussed at the meeting in June. The applicant's attorney came to discuss the status of the settlement with the state and the parties and sort of the, as I said, the status thereof. They still anticipate that to be finalized this fall, September, October timeframe, as we understand it. What we discussed at that meeting was just providing the township with ample time to review that document against prior approvals and review the plan. So essentially what they've offered is an extension until March 31st of 27. That we'll need to follow up with them once that is completed and any plans that need to be resubmitted. Our hope is that this will provide ample time for the plans to be reviewed, the settlement to be reviewed, and the two to kind of be compared against one another. Once we have that settlement, we'll probably have a better sense for where things will move, maybe schedule some meeting dates in advance, because we want to make sure everyone has ample time, public and our consultants, to review all the materials. So anyway, the extension is offered to March 31st, 27, and that's what's before the board tonight to accept that extension.
Barbara, if you want to come to the microphone, please.
Yes, Barbara Arnold, Fonstock Road, Fahnestock in Malvern. Yes, hi. So we're going to do our little dance that we do every time this comes up. I would be remiss in not asking you guys to please vote no on this. I know that's not going to happen, but I'm representing, so I will ask you, and of course we will continue to come to the meetings and, for all Bishop Tube discussions. Thank you.
Any other questions? Zach, any other points?
Nope, just simply the extension that's before the board.
Yep. Would you like to make a motion? The extension?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to consider the extension to Bishop 2 redevelopment, final land development plan until March 31st, 2027.
All in favor?
Aye.
And passes. Financial release, Red
Yeah.
Barn?
Yeah, this is a final release of financial security for a project from many years ago. I think this was actually submitted before I even came to the township. It's a 4-lot subdivision on Morstein Road. They posted a cash escrow of $163,000 or so dollars. They are requesting release of that money with the project having been completed. I did correspond recently with the developer and suggested, and I'm suggesting to the board tonight, 2 conditions under which that the cash escrow would be released. The first is to replace one dead tree at the end of the cul-de-sac. I think they planted it out of season. I think he's replaced it before, so he was not surprised. Very minor. The other is to finish the mill and topping of 2 trenches that were cut into Morstein Road for essentially water-related work. In talking with John Neal, we just wanted to make sure that that was made clear. It's all part of their road occupancy permit, excuse me. But he was in agreement with all that. So I would just make the authorization contingent upon replacing the tree and milling and top coating the 2 trenches on Morstein Road. So once he completes that work, then we'll actually release the money back to him.
Okay. Right, to the conditions, all right.
Yeah, I would just say subject to the conditions that I read
Subject to
into the record.
conditions.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I'd like to make a motion, thank you, Chairman, to consider release of financial security for SD 05 2017 Red Barn Farms at 1530 Morstein Road in the amount of $163,361.93. pertaining to requiring conditions of repairing, replacing the one tree and the milling and top coating of the trenches on Mornstein Road.
All in favor?
Aye.
And passes. Thank you. So at this point in time, we'll be moving into the, huh? Yeah, there are only 4 items on it. Yeah, why don't I bang that up? We're going to just jump over for 4 quick things on the consent agenda, number 7. Thank you for everything. I'll read it, and if there's any questions pertaining to it, please raise a question. Approve the meeting minutes from July 8th, 2028, or 2026. Ratify the payment of the bills in the amount of $1,127,985.85. Accept the treasurer's report. And finally, ratify the property damage release agreement for the Plainbrook Road guardrail damage. Any questions pertaining to those topics? If not, I'll take a motion for approval.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
All in favor?
Aye.
And passes. I guess it would be a good idea. I'll start over. I was asked by a few residents to maybe go through and quickly highlight some of the comments that were made on a community member statement on Friday pertaining to where we are. And it's not on our website, but in the event that you did not see it, I'll again try to give a quick summary on it. Prior to our meeting tonight, we wanted to give you the update regarding the status of the Sentinel data center development. And in the statement, we talk about the July 8th land development matter, which really focused on the proposed cooling system change. So in July, the applicant made a request for the township for consideration of a change from the water-based cooling system to an air-chilled cooling system. The procedure to request this change is to be considered by the Board of Supervisors at a future public meeting, which is further outlined in detail in the land development agreement. At the July 8th board meeting, we voted 2-1 to table the request for the cooling change. Part of the purpose of the tabling the matter was to provide the township with an opportunity to review and understand the proposed change and its potential implications. The board intends to put this matter back on a public meeting agenda to consider and vote on the specific request that was presented concerning the proposed cooling system at some future date. The board will consider whether to approve or deny the change pursuant to the approved land development plan in paragraph 2 of the 2024 land development approval, specifically to remove the proposed cooling towers, to eliminate water cooling for the computer equipment, and install air-chilled units on the roofs of the building. The consideration is limited to the proposed cooling system modification. It does not reopen or otherwise modify the township's 2024 approval as outlined in the resolution 30-2024. There is an area that has had a number of questions, and it's pertaining to the aqua, what we call the will serve requirement. And one of the conditions of the resolution of 3024 requires that prior to the construction, the applicant satisfy the sufficient availability of public water to the site. Furthermore, the approved plans identify the building permit or construction as the designated point in time for the developer to demonstrate compliance with this requirement of the approved resolution. The township considers construction in our determination to be the brick and mortar building vertical improvements and not merely earth moving or staging of equipment, or putting up fencing or site preparation activities. Under the applicable SALDO requirements, the applicant must prove the township with clear documentation from Aqua that sufficient water is available and committed to this project, and the developer's commitment to move forward with ensuring sufficient water is brought to the site. And this could be take the form of a signed agreement between the entities, a letter from Aqua, or both. This must be received and reviewed by the township before the township will issue the permit necessary to proceed with the construction of the buildings. There is also a second component that requires a financial commitment by the developer to make improvements to bring the water to the site. So there's two actual documentations that need to be provided to the township to allow an approved permit to be issued. And currently, the township has not received that written or current commitment from Aqua for the Green Fig Sentinel project. There are in the file letters from Aqua that have denied and made other comments pertaining to not having the capability that expired back in 2024. But we're talking about current status at this point in time. So in simple terms, the developer can't proceed with the construction of the vertical brick and mortar center until the required commitment from Aqua for sufficient water service has been provided to the township, and the developer demonstrates their commitment to Aqua for whatever financial commitments is required for any needed improvements for the service, along with satisfying other applicable conditions of the resolution 30/2024. There's also been questions pertaining to the role of the U.S. Environmental Protection, EPA, in this project. It's important to distinguish, and I know it gets confusing when you look at the website. I look at it, and I got to tell you, I get confused looking at it. And I've been in more meetings than I know what to do with, but it's important to distinguish between the EPA, which is a federal agency, environmental regulation, and local land development authority, which in this case is East Whiteland Township. The township is responsible for administering and enforcing its zoning, land development, SALDO, building, and other applicable local requirements. The township's review of the Green Fig Sentinel project is governed by the approval of the 2024 plan, zoning hearing board decisions and resolutions of 30/2024, and applicable township ordinances and the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. The EPA's role is different. Federal environment requirements apply to the project, but the EPA does not replace the township's land development authority or determine whether the applicant has satisfied the township's 2024 approval. Where environmental permits or regulatory requirements fall under federal or Pennsylvania environmental law, those matters are addressed through the appropriate regulatory agencies, including the Federal Environmental Protection Agency and the PA Department of Environmental Protection. Below is a bit of a comment from the EPA, which was taken from a back and forth email with one of our residents. And I quote from a representative from the EPA. The EPA conducts site-by-site risk assessments to address potential human health and environmental impacts at Superfund sites. Risk assessment includes exposure assessment, estimates the magnitude of the human exposure, the frequency and duration of the exposures, and the pathway by which humans are potentially exposed, and toxicity associated with, which include the types of adverse health conditions associated with chemical exposures. The EPA uses risk assessment information and other site factors to select the best cleanup strategies to manage risks within statutory acceptable levels. Please see EPA's risk assessment website for additional details. It goes on to say, after contaminated soil was removed, remaining soil was tested. Those soil samples were confirmed to comply with the soil cleanup levels selected in the 2006 ROD and modified by the 2008 ESD at the time of the remedial action. The 2024 5-year review report associated assessed site-specific risk based on the soil cleanup levels selected in the 2006 record and modified in the 2008 explanation of significant differences to confirm that the soil cleanup remains protective of human health based on predicted site use. The site is not being redeveloped for residential use and remains protective. Exposure assumptions for a resident receptor are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 26 years. This exposure scenario is not expected to occur at the site under the current redevelopment plans. Therefore, the soil cleanup remains protective. The August 2021 remedial action report and individual summary reports with the post-excavation sampling data has been added to the foot mineral site and under different tabs. The board, we've taken this information and what the environmental issues are in regulatory matters into consideration here. Nothing in the township's land development approval eliminates the applicant's obligation to comply with those applicable federal, state, and county and local environmental requirements. The other point I wanted to mention is because of the complexity of this matter, the township has engaged several land use attorneys to conduct ongoing reviews of the documentation and the township's action to ensure that the township is proceeding with the law and the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code. The attorneys involved in reviewing this matter collectively bring many, many years of land use and mutual legal experience. And then we gave you the update on the data center ordinance, which we had talked about earlier. So in a bullet point basis, is the cooling modification request remains tabled and will not appear on this agenda. However, the board will address the specific cooling modification that was tabled on July 8th at an upcoming meeting to be determined. There were to be no addition of last-minute matters brought by FIG, and the township has not received the committed or required committed letters from Aqua so that the developer cannot begin construction of any building on the property. And that's kind of the community response. So or updated letter from last week. So at this point in time, again, I will say that we've got, I'm sure, a lot of questions. We've got a website with a lot of information that sometimes is very difficult to find. And as I had mentioned earlier, if there's a way so everyone can get their questions in, if we cannot be repetitive with what we're asking so we can get on to the next questions. I will say if there are areas that we are not totally clear of, we can take information and try to add responses to your questions on the website. Are there any additional thoughts or comments at this point? Steve, Zach?
I was just going to maybe reiterate, just please state your name, speak into the microphone, all the normal rules that Scott had read earlier, but mostly the microphone.
And Katie, people are having a 3-minute limitation. We're allowing you for an additional 3 minutes, so you've got like 5 to 6 minutes that we're allowing out of respect for your comments. So just give you an idea. At this point in time, I will open up to any comments. Again, please come up to the podium. And if we can start off with local residents and then we'll move to non-residents.
Jeff, Jeff, Katz, Katz, Malvern Hunt, East Whiteland. I know the data center wasn't on tonight's agenda, which is why I'm raising it during public comment. I want to thank the board for the August 14th update. It confirmed something important, that the township has not received a current written water commitment from Aqua for this project. But the record is worse than a missing document. The only Aqua letter I'm aware of is dated September 18, 24, and it is not a will serve letter, it is a denial. Aqua told the engineer for this site that it does not have the capacity to meet the requested peak demand of close to 3,000 gallons per minute. The most it offered was 500 gallons per minute from one main and 100 from another, roughly a fifth of what the project asked for. And that letter states on its face that it expires 1 year from issue. It expired last September. So the water utility said no, and that no has remained in effect for close to a year now. This matters directly to the cooling change tabled on July 8th. The applicant now wants to eliminate water cooling entirely. I'd ask the board to consider the obvious question. Is that a design refinement or a redesign forced by the fact that this site cannot get the water the approved plan requires? Because if it's the second, it is not a field change by any definition. A field change is something discovered during construction. A known utility constraint from September 2024 is not a field discovery, it is a different project. Second, on earth disturbance, residents have observed and photographed soil movement at the site. The township's position is that construction means vertical building, not site preparation. I'd ask the board to weigh what that means in practice. Soil is being disturbed on an active, unremediated Superfund site on the national priorities list since 1992 for a project that may not be able to obtain water service at all. Once that soil is moved, it cannot be unmoved. Nothing I'm asking for requires denying anyone their rights. Enforcing the conditions of your own Resolution 30-2024 and requiring that substantial changes go through a plan amendment is not something a developer can sue you for. It is simply applying your own approval as written. That is the safest legal ground this board has. One last question for the record. The August 14 update states that the new data center ordinance will not apply to the Sentinel Green Fig application. I'd ask the board to explain the basis for that determination. What has vested and as of what date, given that the applicant has repeatedly proposed changing the project since 2024? If a project changes substantially enough to need a plan amendment, I'd like to understand why it hasn't changed enough to be treated as a new application under the ordinance this community spent months building. I'd ask the board to state on the record tonight that no further site disturbance will proceed until the water question is resolved, and that a change of this magnitude will be handled as a planned amendment. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
My name is Tim Caban, C-A-B-A-N, and I live at 1050 West King Road. Just to build on what the comments that the gentleman just mentioned, you mentioned that you have section 30-24 of, I guess it's the East Whiteland Saldo, is that what that referred to?
Actually, a resolution
It's a resolution, okay.
of the approval of the plan.
Okay, thank you. If this letter was just released on a right to know, as far as I'm aware, and then posted to the township website. So there have been comments that have been made at the public meeting here by multiple members of this panel here, board or township manager, that 3 million gallons a day is the request. If you do simple math on the letter, it's 4.24 million gallons, which is over a 30% increase above that. And in the comments that changing the cooling is a gift to the township, no one mentions that Aqua denied the ability to provide that water. They provided it at 500 gallons is 16% of the request. 100 gallons at the other end of the road is 3% of the request. So at most, if you add those together, it's 20% of the request. So to me, it is a lie by omission when you make the claim that 3 million gallons is the request and don't mention that the letter denied the request even at a higher level. That all assumes that you saw this letter, because the question that I have is, why did the letter come out now? And did you have this letter, or did nobody see it before somebody dug it up recently and disclosed it under a right to know? And you may not want to answer that, but either way, it's enormously problematic. If you have the letter and you don't disclose that Aqua denied the request and offered a much lower level, that's a huge omission in your public statements. Or if you didn't know about the letter, then who's reading the documents? The letter is made by Scott Deisher. He's the JMR engineer firm that's the data center applicant's engineer. So who's responsible to read this if you just found it? Is it your lawyer? Is it an employee? Who's responsible, and did they read it or not? And if they didn't read it, that's an even bigger problem. So I think a fifth grader can understand, and I appreciate why you're going to consider the amendment at a future meeting, and I think a fifth grader could understand that needs to happen after the curative amendment is adopted. And keep in mind that when you don't disclose this, the only people that don't know about this letter are the public. You guys have it, the data center applicant has it, and you keep the public in the dark. So it's hugely problematic. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Hi, Sriram Krishnan from 6 Avondale Circle in Melbourne Hunt. S-R-I-R-A-M, last name Krishnan, K-R-I-S-H-N-A-N. And thanks for the time on that. So my question's a little bit different. I appreciate the discussion on Aqua, and I think that's a big thing, but I have a question about the zoning hearing board. Now, as I understand, on November 16th of 21, the zoning hearing board granted Greenfig the variance relief to be able to build the data center, but it was subject to a very specific condition that they put. And it required the applicant to obtain a letter from PECO stating, and this is the quote from the minutes, that the existing electric substation will be sufficient to provide power to the proposed facility. I appreciate the letters that were put on the website, so I reviewed them. There was a May 13th, 2023 PECO letter, which says, which discusses providing power to Greenfig, and it says at the end that, quote, significant work will be required at the Plainbrook substation. And then there was a subsequent letter, February 26th of 24, and PECO doesn't mention whether the existing substation, they don't answer the question about whether the existing substation has enough power. And then on April 14th of 25, PECO made a filing with the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission, as you're probably aware, And in that, they included, quote, it includes substation updates to benefit the transmission system. And PICO also said that, to the POC, that the existing system infrastructure could not adequately accommodate Greenfig's request. So my question to you is that if the zoning hearing board applied these conditions, first of all, I don't see a letter from PICO that actually addresses the conditions that the zoning hearing board did. So if there is a letter, I would love to be able to see that. And then the second question is, if there is no such letter, and if PICO's already admitted that they have to make changes to the substation, which violates that original zoning hearing board condition, what does that mean? Does that mean that the Greenfig needs to go back to the zoning hearing board and ask for another variance? Because I don't think that you can approve something. I don't think you can overrule the conditions, as I understand the zoning hearing board. So I'd like to understand that a little bit more. Thanks. Actually, can you help me with that? I mean, the board cannot override the zoning hearing board, correct? That is correct. Okay.
Hi, my name is Kathy Shea. I'm a resident of the township on Sweetsford Road, and I'm also the owner of Moonstone and Sage, which is located at 288 Lancaster Avenue. Hearing all of the comments and the questions and seeing, oh, I'm already over? Observing how much activity has been going on, not just in our township, but throughout the nation, in the opposition to the data centers, because it's such an unknown thing that we're going to look 5 years from now and look back and say, damn, we wish we had known that, and now we were stuck with this. But my question to you is, how can you turn a blind eye to such a dangerous project, putting our community in such jeopardy? And how can you, in good conscience, entertain the approval of something that is proven in other communities to be so detrimental to the flora, the fauna, and people? That is so obviously sparking resistance from your constituents. Why is it so important to go forward with a data center when most of the residents of the township are against it? And I would just end with, and I hope I'm saying this properly, but there's a quote by Aristotle about ethics, and we are not honorable because we act ethically. We act ethically because we are honorable. And I'd ask you to be honorable in your delivery of this.
Hi, Christy Largent, CHRISTI LARGENT, Sidley Road, East Whiteland. At a previous meeting, I addressed the potential toxins released when moving the soil, and I'm still incredibly concerned, and I don't feel that has been addressed enough. Also, has there been a confirmation on the quality of the noise? I'm not talking about decibel, but the tone per se. We've heard stories from all around the country about the disruptive humming and irritating noises. And finally, is the board aware of and willing to explore and uphold the Governor Shapiro's executive orders that he sent out yesterday addressing data centers? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Ginny Marcel, could we wait till I spell my name before we start that? It's too long. Maybe you know it by now. GINNYMARCILLE -KERSLAKE and I live in West Whiteland Township. I'm going to say some things that some of the people up in front of us have heard at a meeting yesterday. But I want to say it so that everyone hears it and that all of you hear it. We've already heard about that there is no will serve letter. It's expired, and Aqua has only said they'll provide 20% of what Green Fig needs. But because of that, this Board of Supervisors should have and could have said no to a number of things. Number one, it's the approving and recording of the plan, and that's in accordance with your SALDO, section 175-24. The question was asked, when did the board know about this? I don't know when the board knew about this, but Bernadette knew about this, Zach knew about it, and Brittany knew about it the beginning of February before Scott and Peter signed the agreement. Okay, they knew this will serve letter wasn't there because Bernadette asked Lou Colagreco, the attorney, for it, and he didn't have it. You also, in accordance with the Land Development Agreement, Section 3V, you could have and should have said no to the issuance of any building permits. It specifically says that. You issued 7 building permits. Those should all be revoked. People should not be dealing with construction or all that stuff going on across the way. Here's why that will serve letter is really important though, because all year we have been told by Sentinel Green Fig and the township that if they don't get what they want in terms of changes, they're just going to go ahead and build the crappy 2024 plan. But this actually isn't the case, and we know that they cannot build it because at least that will serve letter, but other reasons too. They have just been using this threat to justify the changes that they want. But they just don't want these changes. They absolutely need these changes. And that includes changing the cooling system, which is currently in your hands. It also means removing the basement and relocating the generators inside. And I might run out of time, but I really want to go through this. I filed a right to know for some building permits that Green Fig submitted to the township July 1st. I've waited over a month to get those results, and I just got them about an hour before coming here. And guess what, folks? The building permits for foundations and footings for building 1 and building 2, those are the 2 data centers. I've got the quote right here from LF Driscoll, the construction company that Green Fig has hired. And this is a quote for their cast-in-place concrete for permit. This item, concrete slab on grade for buildings. Now, I'm not a construction person. I'm not going to pretend to be. I had to look up what concrete on slab is. Sorry, concrete slab on grade is. It is not a basement. Their approved plan has a 20-foot basement in it. This is a concrete slab on the ground, and they're going to build on it. That's what they've already submitted a permit for to the township. And when I asked yesterday, none of the people in the meeting had seen that, but it's in the codes department. So it's clear here, they have no intention of building that plan. We know they can't from the will serve letter that they don't have. They don't have what they need for cooling for their 2024 plan from Aqua. They no longer, we've heard this over and over again, I think Tony might have been the first one to bring it up. They no longer build these things with basements. The servers are too heavy. They build it on a slab. They need you to approve this, okay? So that's what we're facing. All of these changes that they're asking, they don't get to do it. These are not field changes. They also do not get you to just vote on it at a single meeting like was maybe going to happen last month. Your SALDO, section 175-20E, makes it clear that this has to go through the process of the original plan when they make modifications. And these are huge modifications. So they should be submitting a new application for these things that they are trying to sneak through. They tried to do it through an amended application. Now they're trying to do it through building permits. I want to end with this. The township needs to start following its process. we are being told, yeah, that's the process, but we really don't follow it. This is your law. This is your standard operating procedures. You have to follow your ordinance. You have to follow what's in the land development agreement, not try to pick something that sounds like, well, that might work, and ignore the thing that's crystal clear on what you have to do. You have huge public opposition to this project. You have the ability and the obligation to say no. You need to start saying no.
Thank you for the comments. Are you have another question? No, if you have, come forward.
Hi, my name is Abby Gannis. I'm a resident of West Whiteland. Shout out to my West Whiteland homies here tonight in solidarity. Sure. Abby Gannis, ABBIEGANAS. Okay. I am a Chester County resident, a physical chemist, and educator. Last Thursday, something remarkable happened just up Route 202. After months of residents organizing, researching, asking technical questions, and demanding answers, the Upper Merion Board of Supervisors unanimously denied the pending data center land development applications before it. I recognize that East Whiteland is in a different legal position. So I thought before I learned a lot. The 2024 approval was, so I have read East Whiteland's own approval record, and that 2024 approval was conditional. The project remains subject to outside agency approvals, subsequent building permit review, noise verification, engineering requirements, and other conditions, which after certain public comments tonight seems like more scrutiny is needed. At this point, East Whiteland knows substantially more about this property today than it knew on August 14th, 2024, when it passed the approval. The EPA's subsequent 5-year review concluded that additional information about the extent of groundwater contamination was necessary before the EPA could determine the protectiveness of this remedy. The EPA continues to oversee the former Foote Mineral Superfund site. And this development has already changed dramatically enough that new engineering and stormwater reviews were required before the proposed expansion was ultimately withdrawn. So I'm asking this board to apply one very simple principle. For every permit, condition, waiver, modification, building authorization, or other decision that remains within East Whiteland's authority, require current verifiable evidence before allowing this project to advance, and scrutinize that evidence. As a scientist, I constantly have to scrutinize my data before making a claim. What is the current diesel generator configuration? What air quality approvals remain necessary? Does the 2024 noise analysis actually model the equipment that will be installed? Which conditions of Resolution 30-2024 have been satisfied and which remain outstanding? Which stormwater design is currently operative across East and West Whiteland after the expansion that prompted revised stormwater review was withdrawn? And how has the project been reconciled with the environmental information that has emerged since the original approval? Those questions deserve answers supported by, again, the best available, verifiable data. Not convenient data, not assumptions that technically complete a checklist, not close enough. The best available, verifiable data. Ask what was measured, ask what was modeled, ask what assumptions were made, ask what uncertainty remains. And most importantly, ask what happens if those assumptions are wrong. Because these are not abstract numbers in an engineering report. They represent the air people breathe, the water families depend upon, the soil beneath their community, the streams, wetlands, and environment this township has entrusted to protect. You are stewards of those resources, and you are stewards of the health and safety of the people who live here. Strict adherence to every applicable environmental, engineering, and public safety requirement should be the floor, not the aspiration. If this board does not insist on strict compliance and rigorous evidence for remaining approval, the message residents receive is that their health and safety are negotiable. They should never be negotiable. Human beings should never be negotiable. Immediately before coming here tonight, I attended the West Whiteland Storm Task Force meeting because a significant component of this East Whiteland development stormwater system lives across the municipal boundary. That is another reason scrutiny cannot stop simply because the underlying land development approval occurred 2 years ago. Upper Merion demonstrated something important last week. A municipality can demand answers. It can demand complete information. It can refuse to accept uncertainty simply because a developer wants to move forward. East Whiteland cannot return to August of 2024, but you can decide what standard of evidence you require today.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, hi, Lisa Bidlingmeyer. I live in East Whiteland. Oh, sorry, Bidlingmeyer. I didn't come here with any prepared remarks. I've mostly been listening, but I did want the supervisors to consider the bad faith in which the developers and their lawyers engaged the public and you and this whole community when they presented not once but twice very long-winded, detailed proposals of this second improved plan that they were telling us they were doing as a gesture of good faith to, listen to the concerns of the community. Obviously, it's really upsetting to understand that obviously they come in with duplicitous intent, but to go through that charade over months with hundreds of people sitting through hours of meetings where they were not upfront about the water situation is outrageous. And you guys you had to sit through those too. And if you were not aware of this aqua denial, they've been stringing us all along. Secondly, I just wanted to mention, I was having a conversation earlier today about the fact that the state of Pennsylvania has a constitutional right to clean air, clean water, preservation of the natural and aesthetic values of the environment. And I'd like this township to consider whether noise pollution and vibrational pollution and aspects that maybe are not something that you necessarily are drinking, although I'm not sure how our water will do, but certainly how the environment will be altered and how that will affect the quality of life to the members of this community really be considered more thoroughly, because I think that the noise and vibrational, the low noise issues, and how that monotonous constant hum day and night is really the thing that kind of gets lost when people are talking about where will the power come from, where will the water come from. The health issues are larger than that, and we don't know the long-term consequences, but I know that when you see people interviewed on the news from other neighborhoods in other communities throughout the country, it is the noise especially that really brings people down psychologically, neurologically. It affects their health. So I hope that the Board of Supervisors is considering that along with all the many other issues involved in hopefully denying this project from moving forward. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kelly Donia. Sorry. I live at 10 Corbin Drive in East Whiteland Township. Okay. Donia. Good? Okay. All right. Thanks. I concur with everything I've heard. And I've seen some other townships, again, under different legal situations, make public statements that are quite clear in how they stand. Friday's attempt was not clear. It was hard to follow in some ways. I think the intention was to start to do that, and I appreciate that, but I think now's the time, and with all of the evidence that's before us, there's multiple points that will support your decision if you were to make that decision to stand up and say, only the 224 plan, that's it. Now, this 224 plan that was approved, it would really be great if you listed on your website, not just a response to go to this drawing, but this plan has 2 buildings. Each building is this many square feet. There are this many levels. There is a basement. The basement is so high. Go through everything, because there's a lot of plans on that website, and I read plans for a living, and I'm having trouble. So, and then lastly, I just want to talk about the soil. I've been coming to a lot of environmental meetings and talking about this soil. So what happens with soil that's been tested in 2008 and now it's 2026? That soil is different on the surface now. What happens with water is water naturally wants to rise up and evaporate through the soil, and along with it, it takes all its contaminants with it. I sell flooring, and white tile after a few years will actually effervesce and show discoloration based on the minerals that are in the concrete and the soil underneath the building. So this stuff is building up, it's coming up, and it's coming through the soil. So whatever was tested in 2008 is now not scientifically viable in 2026. That soil need.
I'm sorry, Mr. Fixler, can you please look at your constituent as he's talking to you and not be on your laptop? Is that?
No, that's quite all right. It's, you know what? So back to what I was saying. So this soil is different now. And so it needs to be tested. It needs to be tested scientifically. And then it needs to be tested as it's dug into. And we are across from this on both sides of it. There's children around it. It's a public health issue. So I really want to say, I know I heard before, this isn't done normally, but I worked in remediation before I worked in flooring, and it is done. So it needs to be mandated. Thank you.
Hi there. Sue Arenschild, Arenschchield. I live in Phoenixville. Sorry to bother you all. But I've been reading all your documents online, and according to your resolution 30-2024, paragraph, whatever this is, something L, 2.L, the applicant shall limit the cooling towers to the number shown on the plan. Any increase in the total number of cooling towers shall require an amendment to the plan. On the final approved amended plan, whatever it was in 2024, there are no cooling towers. There had been 10 for each building. Instead, they were replaced with 34 each building utility pads, where the cooling tower pads had been located. Does that not constitute some sort of change to the number of cooling towers that requires an amendment? Do you want to see the pictures? No? They're on your plans. No? Nothing?
You can, if you'd like to Do you have it on your phone?
I just have it on my phone, yeah.
I'll look at it.
You want to take a look?
Yeah, sure. I'll stop your time and everything, because I'm not actually following your.
For the sake of, if we can, Zach, I mean, there are a number of plans on there, and what I'm hearing is that it may be one of the other versions that they had proposed to us. Because what you're describing, we're not, it doesn't ring with what's the 2024 plan consists of. But again, there's a lot of things out there, and I know it's confusing. I'll tell you what, can we get your information, and we'll kind of reach back to you and kind of clarify? But are there?
I'd like to know what the clarification is.
Was it a change from preliminary to final?
Just to maybe summarize here, because I understand this is probably a little hard to follow. I think, and I don't want to speak officially here, I'm happy to take your information, and I know you're pointing to documents on our website. I think what she's saying is that the land development approval resolution stipulates that there shall not be more than 10 cooling towers per building. That's what's shown on the plan. That's how the sound study at that time was modeled. That's how the conditions were applied. What I think you're showing me, and what I don't want to speak officially here, this is a little hard to.
It's your approved final land development plan on 5/31/24.
Yeah.
That's what we have. I'm sorry, you want to go back to that?
Yeah, what I'm trying to explain, I think, is that the plan you showed me was the amended plan that was before the township, which has since been withdrawn. So what it showed, one plan showed 10 cooling towers each.
That was the first one.
Yes, and that's what the conditions were written
Right.
around. What you showed that you counted a higher number was the amended plan,
That was not
and
the
those were not
25
cooling towers. That's what it looked like to me, but
No,
I'm
it
happy to
wasn't.
look, yeah.
There was okay, your approved final land development plan, 5/31/24.
Can I know people may have other
Sorry.
questions, and again, if we can address, if we can
have
address it.
Quiet conversation.
Well, I need Zach to hear the other things. If we can, again, get the information from you, and we can circle back with you and clarify, okay?
Yeah, apologize to everyone for the confusion. I thought maybe we could just
Yeah, I
quickly
thought it might
clarify.
be-
I don't think
might
that's
be
the
simple
case,
too,
but why don't we
again, we
follow
got
up?
it. Okay. I'm sorry for,
Oh, no, it's quite fine.
go ahead.
Julie Ferris, 28 Mountain Laurel Lane, Malvern, PA, 19355. Don't go on your laptop, please. Ferris. So just a couple of clarifications. I just want to make sure we're aligned on here. Are you aware that the EPA is not aware that the developer is seeking to build a 20-foot basement on the property?
They're fully aware of it.
They're fully aware of it. So they've never reviewed plans, and so the plan that called for the 20-foot basement, that is the currently only approved plan under the May 2024 plan, we're aligned on that. So that's the only plan that they're allowed to build to. So can someone on this board tell me what plan they're currently building to as they're doing grading and soil activities on site right now? Anyone? Bernadette, your time to shine. No? No one? You have no answers.
It's the approved plan, it's the 2024 plan.
So the plan that Aqua has, that we have no letter for. So there's no letter, so the plan that requires 4.2 million gallons per water a day is the currently approved plan that they cannot get, and that's the plan that they're currently building towards. That's everyone's testimony today. Awesome. Okay, are you aware that the Public Utility Commission did not approve of the 250 megawatts required for the facility, or 290 megawatts required for the facility? Are you aware that in their do no harm testing with the PJM, the 290 overloaded the grid? Is that anyone? Yes? Yes, no? Any answers from anybody? Okay, awesome. Are you aware that I did a FOIA request for the EPA. The Regional Project 3 manager for the EPA specifically called out in her review of the soil and health plan that they're supposed to be doing soil testing ahead of excavation. Are you aware of that? Did anyone review that? No? Okay. All right, we're striking out here, guys. It's not good. This is not good. So I'm just very curious. What part of you should be issuing a revocation is confusing? Because as of today, we don't have water, we don't have electric, we have no idea what plan they're building. So I'm quite confused as to the carte blanche approach we have to a developer building a massive data center in this township. And no one has any answers. Awesome. Well, glad I got that recorded. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for your time. My name's Jess Larkin, 2 Tunbridge Lane in Malvern. Larkin. I just want to make 2 quick points. I agree with a lot of the things that have been brought up tonight, and I appreciate all the work that's going into this. But I want to just quickly highlight 2 things. Number 1 is I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of people in this room and to talk to a lot of people about this project over the last month, and I just want to make sure everybody knows I haven't talked to one person that wants this. Nobody wants this. Well, actually, there is one person, or a few people that want it, but are they here right now? No, they're not here again. Oh, Peter, that's right. I was just talking about the developer. I wasn't talking about you. But yes, yeah, you do want this. So I just wanted to make sure that we were all clear that we do not want this.
That's not a fair statement, okay? That's not a fair statement.
Okay.
It's not.
I'm actually not here for that, so I don't want to go into that. But I want to make the point that the residents do not want this and make sure that that's loud and clear. The second thing that I'd like to do is regarding the Friday announcement. Can you please use your power to stop any work on site? No construction, no bricks, no vertical. Like, if we don't have answers, which it sounds like you are trying to extend time on this, we need to stop everything. There should be nothing happening on that site. So please, whatever you can do to stop this, it should not move forward tomorrow. I saw pictures of generators getting delivered today. What? And we don't have the water? It just doesn't make sense. So please put a stop to it tonight, and tomorrow stop the work.
You can legally revoke the permit.
The delivery this afternoon or this morning appears not to be generators, but buildings. And we're getting clarification that that's what it is. The construction site building for housing, but we are getting that confirmed. No.
The generators or the houses or the trailers? They were told today that they were the control houses for the phase 2 part. That's what Catherine wrote to me in an email earlier today that were part of the PICO plan that has not been approved or reviewed by the Public Utility Commission. That's what those are, the control houses. Say that on the mic. Yeah, I mean, the answer, Julie Ferris again, 28 Mountain Laurel Lane. I'm sorry to do this to you. Malvern, 19355. The answer that Catherine Wright gave me on the email communication today, that they are the control houses. The Public Utility Commission and PICO had to split the project. They did a line tap of 150 megawatts that was above ground to go ahead and connect the electric. The second phase required two 150 watt lines to get to 290 to go and build into the site underground. And those required their own substations. That has not been reviewed by the Public Utility Commission. I currently have a petition for rescission on this project filed with the Public Utility Commission, and it's never been approved. Yet a crane and the control houses were delivered on site today.
And there's
great job, guys.
I'd like to add to that that was done under building permit 2026-221 that was issued on June the 11th, 2026, without the required will serve letter from Aqua for issuing a building permit. None of that should be done. You can revoke these permits legally. They were not issued legally. They should be revoked. If you do not have a will serve letter from them to say they will supply the 4.25 million gallons of water a day.
My name is Lorraine Ball Zimmerman, Ball-Zimmerman, from Elk Drive in East Whiteland. On the township website today, your East Whiteland Township website says PICO Transmission Infrastructure Project coming to East Whiteland Township. PICO is investing in the long-term reliability and resiliency of the region's electrical system through a multi-year project to modernize aging transmission lines and equipment. Approximately 6 miles of electric transmission lines will be rebuilt between Tredyffrin Township and East Bradford, including work with East Whiteland Township. Project preliminary work is underway now with the construction anticipated to begin in 2027. And one of the places is the Plainbrook substation. So if that's answering any of the questions with the electrical upgrades, which it just seems so coincidental that all this is happening with the data center.
Alrighty, and good evening. My name is Paula Terrell, Terrell. I reside in North Coventry Township. My backyard butts up against Berks County, and our pond is a tributary to the Schuylkill River. I came down here tonight to tell you a little story about our township. Although we're small and we're a bunch of country bumpkins, about 6 months ago, a developer came in and wanted to put in a 160,000 square foot data center into our community. We packed the room and we were able to tell the developer no, that we didn't want a data center in our community. So for tonight, what I'd like to say to you, if the North Coventry residents can stand up and pack a room and say no to protect our community and everyone that's in it, I believe that this board, hold on, my phone doesn't work right. Oh, it was a really great closing remark too. I believe that if our rural township can see through the sales pitches of these developers, protect its power grid, and defend its borders, then a board such as East Whiteland needs to defend their constituents and their taxpayers in the same way, and find the backbone and demand a brand new application for Green Fig. Thank you.
Hi, Joanna Tenney. I'm actually an East Vincent resident, so I do appreciate you letting Tenney. So I do appreciate you letting us speak. There's other municipalities that don't give us that option, especially with what we've gone through recently with the Pennhurst data center, which was denied at the local level. So I don't get a clap for that? Hello. It was 1.9 million square feet, and it was denied at the local level. I'm just really baffled. I mean, I thought our township was really wacky, but like coming here, I'm kind of like, wow, like, I mean, we requested a larger venue and it happened like without like having to request and ask. Like, there's obviously a lot of people that are interested in this topic from this municipality and others as well. And I think that you all should really make that a priority to get a larger venue so people aren't sitting on the floor and people aren't sitting in walkers. And these chairs are really nice. They're more comfortable than the East Vincent ones. But you should allow that to happen. So I'm really hoping that happens because I would like to keep coming to meetings, and I'm sure other people as well. Okay, I'll lay off the meetings here. But I do want to reiterate what everybody else is saying is that you have a job to do and you need to speak up for your residents, and they're speaking to you, and you need to listen and you need to act on that appropriately. Thank you.
Kathy Shea, SHEA, Moonstone and Sage, 288 Lancaster Avenue. The reality of this is that you're not saying no to the developer. You're saying you can do it, but this is how you have to do it. Because the way the structure is doesn't work, and it can't work legally, and they're trying to find every little part to be able to fill in and plug in to be able to make it work and put pressure on you to say, oh, well, this will work, this will that. No, you say no, start again. If you're so high on doing it, do it the right way.
Hello, Board. Chuck Tassoni, Malvern Borough. Yeah, T as in Tom, T as in Tom, A-S-S-O-N-I. Charles, first name, Malvern Borough. Not in East Whiteland, I recently find out. I've sent the members of the board an email about many of the misrepresentations that Sentinel has made to the township about their Superfund site. The email also shows clear evidence that the main developer made misrepresentations on forms that warn of criminal liability and even imprisonment. Dedication. This is real dedication. The people in this room have handouts that detail many of the Superfund misrepresentations. The handouts are on the back table. You, the board, are welcome to them, but again, you already have my email. I'm asking tonight, will the board invite Sentinel to a public meeting and ask them about these Superfund misrepresentations, and also ask them about misrepresentations we learned of in the last few days? These new ones show that Sentinel, despite repeated statements to the contrary, can't actually build their 2024 plan. Will the board call Sentinel to answer for their misrepresentations, or will you make the active decision to remain ignorant? It's not a rhetorical question. Who's in favor of willful ignorance? Which one of you would like to keep being ignorant of this? How many of you would like to keep your eyes closed? I do it this way, you do it this way. Okay, I guess nobody has an answer for that. Fine. There will be no board meeting to discuss Sentinel's problems or ask Sentinel to have any statements about these things that are bothering the community. Why not a special board meeting for that? Why wouldn't we do that? Okay.
Tony Giannino, Giannino, East Whiteland Township. So I know that I've had conversations with many of you, both here and elsewhere, whether it's via email or in person or via phone, one of the biggest things that I've come to understand is that you guys communicate way better in smaller groups than in big kind of settings like this. And I think one of the things that is common ground between a lot of the comments is just that communication along the way wasn't really up to snuff at all. Nobody kind of knew where we stood along the way for many different issues, dating all the way back to when Mike Gill stood up, I think Bernadette is your colleague, stood up and said, this is a done deal, this is happening, get in line, march to the beat of our drum. That's the township solicitor, and that was back in January. It seems like a lot of this information was known back then, and we haven't seen Mike Gill since, so I'm pretty sure that guy didn't know what the F he was talking about. And on top of that, the biggest thing that we've come to realize is that not only didn't he know what he was talking about, no one seemed to know what he was talking about. We don't know what was approved. We don't know what is approved, or if they were to start building tomorrow, what would that look like? I know I've asked this in different conversations, offline, online, but just having any sort of executive summary on what is in these plans. We see 60-page documents with 6-minute load times just to get up on your phone, and then it's microscopic legends that you can't really read. And there's not really the data that says, where's the basement? How deep is it? How many square feet is the building? What is the different type of power that's coming in? What megawattages have been approved, if any? All these things should be easily accessible, not having to dig and dive through documents from 2018 to 2021, to zoning hearing boards, to planning commissions, to board of supervisor summaries and memos that are put out. Scott, I know in the memo that was sent out on Friday, a lot of times was reference to the board's commitment to the Resolution 30-2024. You said it a couple times. I know we've talked about it. I have no freaking clue what that means. What is approved? I just really think that that is something that's been said a couple times. I don't want to badger it to death, but we need to know. Like, if they started tomorrow and they wanted to build it, what does it look like? So that's all I have to say. Thanks a lot.
Julie, we're not repeating over.
I'm not repeating. It's my husband can't get through online, so he just has a very simple question. He would like to know who's liable if something does go wrong on the site.
Who's liable?
Yeah, like if something goes awry on site, from like if there is a soil, if some sort of contamination goes into the air, if something happens, who is liable?
Well, the developer they're responsible for dust suppression and air monitoring. So I would say the property owner developer is.
Okay. And then the one last thing, sorry. He said, does the board, no one has mentioned the fact that allowing continued work with the developer can cause extra harm and the sunk cost, which creates liability for the township. So are you guys, if you continue to let them work, they're going to say that they have a vested interest and have a sunk cost into this. What is their response to that by not stopping it?
You guys look confused over that question. I think it comes to the point of they've made it clear that they don't have the electricity they need, they don't have the water they need, but you issue them building permits and you allow them to go and invest this money on the site. And I think that's the question is, it's kind of like, well, we've done this, so you have to let us do this, or we're going to sue you because you led us down this road and made us think we could keep doing this. I think that's the concern. And that stems from not following the process you're supposed to following and setting the rules that are in place. That's why the will serve letters are required before you let them start doing this work. And by doing this work, it's clear in the agreement that that's issuing the building permits. It's not starting construction as you try to say. It's right there in 3V in the land development agreement. Issuance of building permits. So again, I would suggest you revoke those permits. The sooner the better for everyone.
Good evening. My name is Tony Bailey, Bailey. I live in Rosemont, Pennsylvania. I'm actually here to support my cousin. I believe that all of you have been voted into office and you have constituents who you represent. And when you were voted into office, you put your hand on the Bible, and that was a commitment to your constituency. So we are a democracy, we the people, for the people, and by the people. Please honor that commitment. I can see this room is full of very passionate constituents who live in this community, love this community, and want to stay here and live in peace. So please, again, honor that commitment. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris Teeter. I live in Edgemont Township. And I just wanted to ask, my name is Chris Teeter, T-E-T-E-R, Edgemont Township, PA. Do any of the board and the supervisors here tonight, are you going to live near this data center? Is your home going to be near it? Anybody? No. Okay. So, so you won't have to suffer the consequences. And I just think that's unfair. Also, on your deathbed, are you going to think, wow, I'm really glad I approved that data center that's going to harm people, harm their children, harm the environment? Just something for you to think about, that's all. Listen to your residents. Nobody in all the counties and municipalities want these things. Please listen to the people who voted for you. You represent them. They're telling you what they want. So listen.
Katie Muth, MUTH. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the extra moments. Oh, absolutely. A couple of questions before I just make my comments. Can somebody verify to me, it was said earlier, but what a utility pad is used for and how many is on the whatever you're calling the current proposed plan? Do we know that number? Do we have a map? Do we have any idea whatsoever?
Yeah, I don't have the plan in front of me. Your question is how many utility pads are on the site total?
Yes.
Okay. We'll, like we're doing with the rest of these questions, I think we'll take that down and we'll try to find a very accurate answer to that.
Okay. I'll circle back to why I'm asking, because it's a very important point that I'm going to bring up at the end that might break the hearts of some Democrats in this room, but that's the reality of our situation. So the other thing I wanted to point out is I wanted to read what I was provided in an answer in terms of liability so that you're all aware. If you have to take legal action and spend your life savings to try to hold someone accountable for poisoning you, this is your route. The township, the property owner, the data center developer, I asked who are the entities that could be liable? Who is liable? And this is actually a question that is totally avoided in other municipalities as well, even if it's not a Superfund site, just in general, if an accident happens at a hyperscale data center. According to the townships, this is a response I received from this township. According to the township's environmental attorney, Steve Hahn, is he here? I don't know who that is. And I apologize if I met him before and I don't remember him, but I don't know who that is. A site that is not remediated generally has 4 potentially liable parties. The current owner, prior owner when the contamination occurred, the waste generators, and those who transported waste. In the case of the Foot Mineral site, which has been remediated to a certain development standard, again, I would love to talk to Steve about this. The property owner relies on the comfort letters to ensure its liability protection. They must also adhere to soil management plan and environmental health and safety plan. Item number 6 in the EPA fact sheet gives additional information on this topic as well. We're going to have a written in writing legal memo that backs this up because the information I receive from environmental attorneys is that a comfort letter is utter trash. It means nothing. It means nothing. It might make Charlie feel better, but it sure as hell ain't making anybody else in this room feel better. That has to be figured out. That is like beyond, blows my mind that anybody would think that that is a acceptable answer, let alone is it acceptable to build something next to where humans live on a contaminated site, but I digress. So I do really think that's an important question that all these people should have an answer to, and if they don't have an answer, there shouldn't be anything delivered, even not to that site or built, not an Amazon package, not a generator, not anything. There should be nothing happening on that site until you can explain to residents what remedies they have in the event that they and their families become sick. Or when they start building storm basins. You know how you build a storm basin? Anybody know how you build a storm basin? Sometimes you have to blast it with dynamite. Are we allowing that? I have no idea, but around the Commonwealth, my office is getting emails from residents whose foundations have cracked at the where other data centers are being built because of blasting for storm basins. So I don't know if that's a consideration in anybody's plan, or Bernadette, you've had a conversation with Charlie and the attorneys if they plan to build basins like that. I'm not a basin expert, although I've become one living in a neighborhood that has failed stormwater basins. So the other thing I wanted to discuss quickly is that not only is there not water, although I think you're going to hear a magical letter appear very soon. Are you sure there's no will serve letter? Charlie, Lou, somebody, one of these attorneys haven't reached out to you? Bernadette, have you received any correspondence in the last 48 hours to say that there's a new magical will serve letter? Nobody's heard anything? Okay, I just keep an eye on your inbox, because I had my office reach out last Friday after a conversation with the chairman to confirm that there was no will serve letter, and it wasn't until today that I received a response and that there is allegedly some sort of will serve letter that was issued on August 13th, 2026. I do not have that letter. I did reply and ask for it. I asked if it was for 4 million gallons a day. I have not received a response. I assume the response will be, Senator, this is NDA'd and it's our customer. You know, Charlie can go look up how much I pay for my water, PA American Water, but I can't know how much Charlie be paying for his water, or if he pays it all. So I think that's an important thing to note, that a magical letter surfaced. So back to the topic of revocation, there is absolutely a laundry list of legal rationale to revoke this entire plan from its original approval for the fact that this applicant has misrepresented so many things. Your residents are so thorough, so smart. They've gone through these documents. They send them to me, and then I review them, and I'm like, what are we doing here? This guy has lied through his teeth on multiple occasions for years that this site was no longer contaminated and no longer on the EPA registry when it's still on their website. That right there, I don't know who, I'm sorry, Bernadette, but I need you to write a legal memo for myself and the public that they literally understand where you're giving guidance to this board that this hasn't been revoked. Like, this is not hard. This is not hard. And you might end up in court. Great. I watched Brian O'Neill threaten Upper Merion, but guess what? Upper Merion made the decisions that application was insufficient and incomplete, and this application, whatever variation of it, is trash. That's just fact. And I'm going to request an additional 3 minutes for the warning I'm about to give you all. Thanks. Appreciate you. There was an announcement by our governor recently, and I'm going to really hear it after this meeting. I've spent the last 48 hours trying to understand what this executive order exactly means. What I will say is that he reversed an original executive order that he made early on in his administration that created the fast track permitting program that allowed for data centers to have fast track permit ahead of local approval. That portion of the fast track program, it still exists, but just not for data centers. So it was a reversal of original decision that the governor made through an executive order that myself included totally missed in 2023 very quickly, and slowly those data center projects went online. on this spreadsheet saying they were fast-tracked. Now that is no longer. So that's step one. But local approval was always required. It was just that the state was approving the state-level permits ahead of local control. So I'll say it one more time. The governor issued a previous executive order that allowed state permits to be approved for data centers ahead of local control. That has been reversed. So I want everyone to understand that. Point number 2, bring your own power will not bring your power bill down. We know this from Ronald Reagan. Nothing has trickled down but, the remnants of crumbs that we're supposed to take and be happy and be grateful for, right? So bring your own power is exactly my concern as to why. Did you say 24 utility pads? Who said 34? Thank you. 34, I don't know what the square footage is of utility pad, but 34 utility pads in a quick Google search. Thank you, Tony. I had a moment here as I'm sitting here thinking, what do you do with those? I'm not an expert, I don't know. They hold gas-fired turbines. Gas-fired turbines, do you know what that means? That means bring your own power, because if you've looked at the PICO letters, they don't have a FERC transmission service securities agreement. Go on the FERC website. That is the only way to confirm that a data center actually has a power agreement, is that if it's on FERC's website. FERC is the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, for those who don't know the acronym. There's one in Bucks County for the Amazon data center there. That's it. I'm happy to share a copy with the board. I have it. It's redacted heavily, but at least it would give you an idea of what it looks like. If you haven't gotten to the FERC level, you don't have power. He has a high voltage line from PICO, a commitment. Where's the power coming from? There's no extra 500 megawatts sitting around somewhere right now. But what we do have is 34 conveniently located utility pads. For you know what? Bring your own power. So bring your own power means bring your gas-fired power plant in our backyards. So I just want to be, and you know what? I pray to God I am wrong about this. I pray that Charlie has solar and, actually, retract. This isn't getting built because you will poison everybody. So we will be in court for a long time with Charlie, one way or another, whether you all have the courage to revoke, as you should, and as you're required to, none of these plans meet your own ordinances and your requirements. But this is the people's livelihoods. Like, this is their life. This is his pet project. This guy has lied from day one. Nobody wants a liar for a neighbor. He's not a neighbor. He's a greedy man. And I'm not gonna, it's not hard to figure this out, right? So he's not even here. I hope he comes whenever the heck you plan to have the vote on this thing. Because he feels entitled to do this. He's rolling in equipment. I had to spend my Sunday in the rain trying to drone this site. Thank you, Physicians for Social Responsibility, for assisting me. But, again, I'm going to find out. We're going to find out. So, him doing this is, disrespectful to this whole community. He can't prove there's no contamination. Let's have Charlie build his house. Why doesn't he stay on one of those trailers? Last point. Why are there trailers on site? Not the thing that was delivered today. The trailers. There's double wide one. They look like worker trailers. Why do we know why those are on site? There's probably 13. I can send you the beautiful bean footage from the drone and we can count them, but I think there's about 13. Do we know what those are for? Are we going to have arts and crafts at the data center? What are those for?
Yeah, they're construction offices.
There's 13 offices at this Superfund site? What are we doing in the office? Playing Scrabble at lunch?
We will confirm what all those are for.
Right,
I know there are
there's a
construction
lot.
offices out on site. We'll confirm what each
Has
of
a
those are
permit
for.
been issued for them to have an on-site porta potty?
We'll confirm what all the permits are for and what all those trailers are used for.
But they're already there. You don't know that someone's not living in it at night. The trailers for humans, not the thing on the thing. The ones that just were delivered.
No, when they were delivered 2 months ago.
No, there's some newer ones on there. I know what you mean. There's now more. I compared the drone footage. there's more. More people have moved on to the Superfund site. So again, that's like bananas to me, and I know those trailers because they're on the Bucks County Amazon data center, you know, for all the local jobs. Because when you work locally, you can stay in a trailer instead of going home to your house that's local. Absolutely. If that's allowed, I don't know if the board allows the audience to ask me a question. I'm not trying to violate any more rules than I already have on the time limit.
Were you able to find out if Shapiro's executive
Applies to you?
retro? Is it retro?
So here's the really tragic part about that question. I got a partial answer, and I want it in writing wanted in writing better than what I have it. And is that despite Charlie, in case you all didn't know, received the sales and use tax exemption for data center equipment earlier this year. So my thought was, well, what's his incentive to comply? And I'm actually like, I don't really care if he complies with grid. You know why? Because I don't want Charlie to have a data center, and Charlie ain't bringing his own energy to have a gas-fired turbine across the road from a school, a daycare, and where everybody lives. So yes, he now has to comply. Ready for it? He has to comply with grid to get that sales and use tax exemption. I have it in writing. I want it, and I want it on letterhead. Yeah. No, go ahead. They said 34. This is the first I've heard of this number. That site, right? The utility. Yeah, they're like a concrete flat. No, go ahead.
What I was just trying to get to was that I was thinking that what Katie was saying was that there were these pads, what were these pads for, and then said, well, they're probably going to be to mount turbines on it to produce power.
They're like jet engine turbines.
I understand that. So my question was the intent, are you saying that, was that PECO was going to be in the power generation business and provide the power to Sentinel?
They don't have to. That's a great question. So actually, under the law, PECO can't generate and transmit. You know this. So those turbines would be, I guess, property of or lease. I don't know if you buy a turbine or if you lease it. Forgive me. But Green Fig, whoever the data center, would have those turbines on site. They're usually GE. Yes, next to the data center. Bring your own power, co-located with the hyperscale. Understood. Do you see my concern?
Okay, we're.
So I just wanted to bring that to your attention in the event that there are, and this is, I can send you the brochure of the turbines from the Linfield proposed data center that shows what these look like. It is a massive gas-fired power plant. So, I mean, bring your own power. What happened yesterday did not help Pennsylvania. It actually, that's why there's no opposition from industry, and the grid standards were written by the Data Center Coalition and AWS at the request of the feedback from the Shapiro administration. So you can read about that in the free press that we still have.
And Katie, you obviously know how to get a hold of me, but if you get information on that.
Yep, just wanted to answer your question as to why this isn't a good thing. Thank you.
Got it. All right. With that, I'd like to thank you for the comments. A lot of good points as usual, and we've got a few things that we need to look into. But so as of right now, meeting is adjourned.